Hello, beautiful souls. Jena Skai here, Sacred Soul Healer and Priestess, and welcome to, what are we on? Part 4 of our holiday guide to Everyday Magic. So this series is going to be a longer lasting series, so Everyday Magic is going to continue on, but for right now we're focused on just getting through the holiday stress. So I've got 2 more tips I want to share with you today that you can work with at any time, anywhere you feel like you need to reduce some stress. So first of all, thank you for being part of the Sacred Soul Inner Circle. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And also, you might want to go ahead and hit subscribe on the YouTube video so that this way you get notifications when I do release new meditations and content on my YouTube channel. So I might not always share the videos in the Facebook group, but the perks of being in the Facebook group is you have access to videos that aren't released publicly on YouTube. So it's definitely better to be part of the Facebook group than on the YouTube channel. However, there is a perk to subscribing to both. So take a moment to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and help me out a little bit. Cheer me on. I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So this Everyday Magic holiday guide is just my way of being of service, of offering something to you. I'm finding this season to kind of be easy breezy for me, so I'm just allowing myself to take space and help those that maybe aren't feeling so comfortable this year. I will say that, everyone experiences the holiday times differently. Everyone might celebrate a little bit different and feel a little bit different towards that holiday energy. So I'm just trying to keep the space to help people just navigate whatever it is they might be going through and keep it general enough that you can apply and adapt to what you need. So this is not going to be specific, but these 2 tips I'm going to share with you today are things that you can do anytime you need them. So tip number 1, breath work. So tuning in and focusing on the breath is super important. If you're feeling anxious, if you're stressed out, if you're holding yourself tight and tense, you recognize that in your breath too. So when we take the time to actually tune in and pay attention to how we're breathing, we can begin to shift what is happening in our bodies. So if you're someone that experiences anxiety, or maybe even stress-induced anxiety, this can be really beneficial, because if you can pay attention to your breath and start noticing when your breath becomes shortened, when you start noticing that you're breathing into your chest instead of your belly, when you start noticing you're taking more shallower breaths and breathing a little quicker, you can begin to notice that you are taking on a more anxious state, and then begin the process of deepening your breath before that transpires into a full-blown anxiety attack. So I speak this from experience, and I can definitely tell you it does work. So what you need to do is just start with a little breathwork practice for yourself. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm not going to try to tell you to memorize certain breathing patterns. That's different than what we are attempting to do here. This is just your simple diaphragmatic breathing. So your diaphragm is that muscle that is actually under the rib cage and extends down into the abdomen, and it helps you to take deep breaths in, and it also works to expel that air out. But what happens is we tend to breathe into our chest. Our chest rises and falls with each breath, but our belly doesn't move. So that's a key sign that you're not really breathing into your belly. And we want to do the belly breathing. We want to do the diaphragmatic breathing, because when we are breathing more deeply, we are sending that message to the body that we're in a safe space, that everything is okay, that we don't need to be in fight or flight, that we can relax. Right? So that is the magic of breath work in the body. It's creating these physiological changes in the hormones that are being released in the body so that it begins to adjust itself. So if you start to breathe more shallow because you're getting anxious or you're stressed or you're tensed and you're keyed up, right? That signals the body to prepare you for something, prepare you for danger, prepare you for something that it might cause harm or things of that nature. And it triggers the release of different hormones that are just going to continue to perpetuate that fight or flight response, or perhaps even freeze or fawn. So it's one of those really tricky places to be in. Now, if we tune into the breath and we begin to deepen the breath and we bring that breath down to the belly and we really focus on elongating our breath, we send that signal that everything is okay, that we're safe, right? And that signal starts to change what is released within the body and starts to create physiological changes inside. So, if you are someone that has never experienced anxiety or an anxiety attack, let me tell you that if you haven't experienced it, I hope that you never do. For those of you that have experienced it though, you know when I say the way things work inside, it's so powerful. When we really look at the basis of an anxiety disorder, when we look at the basis of an anxiety attack, where it's literally our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings that are creating these physiological changes inside of us that create physical responses in our body, the rapid heart rate, the hyperventilating, sweating, even fainting, there's all kinds of things that begin to happen, stomach, digestion issues, yeah. So there's actual physical changes that start happening in the body when you're experiencing an anxiety attack. And I think it's just super important to bring that up, because if you've never experienced that, perhaps you don't really understand the true power of what this does. But when you get, when you have some way of controlling that physiological response in the body, you can actually shift the narrative of what's going to happen. And you don't have to go into that full-flown anxiety attack. You can actually pull it back, do the breath work, and bring yourself to that place of deeper inner peace so that it's not elevating that anxiety. So here's what you do for that breath work. Just allow yourself to sit comfortably and place your hands on your belly. So I suggest placing your hands on your belly because it's a little easier to tune into the expansion of the belly, and that's what we're looking for with this breath. So just inhaling through the nose and inhaling, bringing it all the way down into the belly, expanding the belly as if you're filling up the belly like a balloon. And then exhaling, squeezing the belly button towards the spine, pushing all of the air out. And do this breath a couple times. And you might need to work a little bit harder to get the breath deeper in the belly, so allow yourself to really visualize blowing up that abdomen space like a balloon. And you can exhale through your nose or through your mouth, whichever is comfortable. But I do find inhaling through the nose helps you to elongate your inward breath, and that's important. So you do want to fill up that belly with air. You will feel the chest fill with air too. You will feel that rise of the chest and the shoulders even upon inspiration, and that is totally fine. That is all part of the intake of the breath. And when you exhale, you feel everything kind of sink inwards, right? And just notice the feeling of this breath. And always return to normal breathing if you ever start feeling dizzy or lightheaded, because sometimes that influx of oxygen when you've been breathing so shallow for so long can cause a little bit of dizziness. So always return back to your normal breathing and just allow yourself to pause and to feel into that. And then when you feel ready, you can do another round of deeper breathing again. And so by doing this, it's helping you to realign your breath to that place of peace, to that place of homeostasis in the body. So like your emotions and feelings inside aren't going haywire with stress and anxiety. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is tapping. So if you've been with me for a while, you've probably seen some of my tapping videos. Tapping is EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. This is something I learned about 20 years ago in massage school before it became super popular and everyone started doing tapping. I think in the last, 3-4 years, I feel like I see it everywhere now, and I'm like, wow, I would have never expected that to get so popular. So EFT tapping is tapping on certain meridian points of the body, and you tap as you repeat sentences of things that you're letting go of or releasing or wanting to move past or shifting your mindset on, and inviting in new fresh ideas, feelings, sensations, emotions into your energy field. And you always complete by saying, I deeply and completely love and accept and appreciate myself. And it's a practice that can be super helpful, especially if it's mindset stuff that you're working through. And this is what I have found to be true for me in this practice, is it really helps with shifting the mindset. So if you find yourself like already in a state of dreading the holidays, dreading the family dinners, dreading being around certain people or scenarios, or you find yourself just creating your own anxiety and stress about things that haven't even happened yet, then tapping is a good way of working through that energy. So the tapping sequence, we're going to work through that together, and I'm going to try to keep this as a general kind of holiday stress, anxious kind of tapping sequence for you so that anyone can feel comfortable doing it. But you can always change the words that I say to suit you as you need to. All right, so we're going to go through the set of tapping points, and I'm going to show you first, and then we'll actually do some tapping. So when we first start off, we start off with tapping the side of the hand. Now the side of the hand is our initiatory tapping point where we start the introduction of the tapping sequence. Then we move into the top of the head, the side of the temples, the underneath of the eyes, the above the upper lip, below the lips, the under the collarbone point right here, and then we do under the armpits about the bra line, and then we do the wrists, and then we repeat. Okay, so that's the sequence of the tapping flow. Now, I've seen some people do it a little bit different, but this is the flow that I follow and the flow that I've been practicing for a long time, so I stick with that because I know that that works. It works for me, and I've seen results with it. So, but if you're familiar with tapping and if you do it a different way, do what you feel comfortable doing. I don't think that there's a right or a wrong, because it's just about accessing the energy. So it doesn't really matter, I think, the order of operations when it comes to this, but I just feel comfortable doing it the way that I had originally been taught. So, all right, coming into a seated place, we want to kind of reflect just a moment on bringing ourselves into the present space, bringing ourselves into the moment. We've already tuned into the breath. We've already kind of taken ourselves inward. So we're going to come to this place of recognizing some of the emotions we might be holding on to or moving through, some of the emotions or feelings we might be inviting into our space that we don't necessarily want. Like, I don't think anyone really purposely wants stress or tension or fear or anxiousness or nervousness or any of that. So we're just going to take a moment to just feel into what energies you might be calling in, even though you're not intending to. And just keep that in mind, because you're more than welcome to add words as I'm speaking. So we're going to come to the side of hand, and we're just going to start tapping. So we're not like hitting ourselves hard. It's like just light tapping. And repeat after me. Even though the holidays are supposed to be a time of love and merriment and joy and bliss and peace, I sometimes find myself feeling worried or anxious. I sometimes find myself feeling stressed out, maybe even miserable. I find myself not enjoying the holiday season. And it is okay that I feel this way. My feelings may very well be valid. But I really don't want to feel this way. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joy. I want to feel excitement. I want to remember the energy of wonder and miracles. I want to remember that feeling of magic that I had maybe as a kid. So even though I might not be feeling these things in this moment, I deeply and completely love and appreciate myself. And a deep breath in and release. Now move to the top of the head. The holidays have become overrun with an exhausting to-do list. Into the temples. I feel like I have a million things to remember to do. Under the eyes. And this is creating a lot of inner stress for me. Above the lip. I feel expectations from other people. And under the lip. I feel like I have to live up to this idea of perfection. Collarbones. I feel as though I have to be perfect, and that is stressful. Ribcage. I feel as though I have to make all of these right decisions for gifts and food and the order of things. Wrist. And this is very stressful for me. Top of head. I feel as though everything is so rushed. Temples. I feel like there's hardly any time to even breathe. Under eyes. I just want to feel inner peace. Top of lip. I just want to have spaciousness. Under lips. I just want to find myself in the holiday. Collarbones. I want to feel easeful, joyful, loving, generous. Under the ribcage. I want to just allow my heart to shine. I want to rest knowing that my love is enough. Tap ahead. So even though I might be creating a stressful environment for myself, temples, I know that I can also create an environment of peace. Under eyes. And I'm choosing to do that now. Top of lip. I release any outside expectations, judgments, or beliefs that are not my own. Underlips. I release any worry, fear, doubt, or shame, or guilt. I release any unnecessary stress. Ribcage, and I invite expansiveness into my holiday spirit. And I trust that my love is enough and others will see and recognize that. And a big inhale in. Hold it at the top. Stop and release. And there you have it. That is tapping sequence that you can do at any time. You can change the wording however you like to make it suit you and your specific needs, but it gives you an outline to follow, to practice, so that you have this tool to now work with too. So I hope you've been enjoying this holiday guide for you. We've covered a lot of stuff. So along with this, you learned the foundational practice of ground centering shield and experienced a snow globe meditation, and now you've also got breath work, and you've also got some tapping to work with to help you through the holidays. I hope this serves you well, and no matter your reason for the season, happy holidays to you. Namaste.